Hey Lions, it's your girl Precious, but you can call me PJ, and welcome back to the Lion's Den. Before I get into the video, couple things. I just got my wisdom teeth out on Friday, so if I sound weird or if I look a little bit puffy or swollen, it is because of that. I'm good. I can still continue to record this video, but I did want to let that be known in case it does throw you guys off a little bit. Secondly, by the name of this title, I'm going to be talking about why I quit my job and why I think you should too. I just want to put a bit of a disclaimer out there that this is not to defame, bash, slander, you name it, any company or organization that I've ever worked with. This is just me expressing my experiences to hopefully give other people who are in the same situations a bit of an eye-opener or clarity maybe to their situation so that they're able to take heed into their own life. As I stated in my last video, it has become apparent that many of us are complacent and stagnant in our jobs. Comfort, being the enemy of progress, keeps us in these positions because the job provides you with security, time, money, resources, you name it. And even when you are tired, burned out, and you know that it's time for you to leave that environment or to make the change, the idea of losing that security or the discomfort that settles in when you think about it tends to discourage us from making those necessary changes in our life. I firsthand have been held in positions longer than I needed to be, or I've stayed in positions longer than I should have because of these exact reasons. And today I'm in a different headspace. I have a different perspective on what I think a job is, and I don't think that we should continue to live our lives like that. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's fair. As I briefly expressed in my last video, I've always been a person that understands my work ethic. I've always known that whatever job I go into, I always put my best foot forward, that I am an overachiever, like the definition sometimes of an overachiever. It's not that I want to be the best, it's that I want to assist the company that I'm working with in whatever goal that they have set for themselves. So if that means that they want a certain amount of money each year made, that I would push those sales and that I would make the necessary movements to make that happen. And something that I've come to realize in the long term is that that's not sustainable. It's good to be a good worker, but not at the expense of yourself, of your mental, of your emotional health, of your physical health even. I've been in jobs where I've been on my feet for 45, 50, 60 hours a week. No breaks. Legitimately no breaks. No help. Working overtime. Off the clock. And this is not my old job, like my previous job, but jobs in the past where I've just felt like I had to do whatever I needed necessary in order to make sure that things got done, to make sure that things were happening. And the issue is like I said before, I've put myself out there so much that I've been labeled a workhorse to the point where I get put in these positions, where I have a label as a manager, but I never realize how exploiting those jobs are and those positions are. They see you as a lead and put you in these positions because they know that you're responsible enough for it. But the truth of the matter is you're the scapegoat at the end of the day. If your team isn't owning up to, isn't hitting the goals or meeting the demands that they have set for the team, then you're looked at as the person under fire or the person that's not doing enough. And so what ends up happening a lot of times in these positions is that you become an overcompensator. You try to fill in those gaps when you see your team is burnt out. You see that they don't have enough help because, unfortunately, these companies don't like to hire enough help because they want the money in their pocket. So instead of making sure that we have enough staff to cover PTO, to make sure that the job gets done in a timely manner at the demand that you need, they put all of these unrealistic expectations on 2, 3, 4 people. And they're like, figure it out, get it done. I don't care how you do it. You'd better do it, pretty much. And as a manager, one that cares, you tend to understand that if you continue to push and push and push your team the way that upper management is pushing you to push your team, that you're just going to push those people away and you're not going to have a team anymore. And so being a good manager, you become that overcompensator. You try to make sure that the weight is distributed evenly so that nobody feels like the burden is too heavy to bear. And unfortunately, someone has to carry that weight. And in all of my jobs, I've always been the person that carries some weight. I don't complain about it. I haven't complained about it in the past just because I felt like that was what was necessary. But when you put things into perspective and you really, really reflect on your life and what you want it to look like, that is not healthy by any means necessary. And nobody cares. Like, they do not care. You are literally a cog in the system. You are replaceable. If you burn out, if you were to drop dead the next day, and I said that with legitimacy, I've seen people in my old jobs pass away and people barely blink an eye. They just hire somebody else because you're replaceable. As long as they have someone to fill in that position to make them money, they don't care about you. And so that's something I had to come to terms with, you know? And yes, they may show they care about you on a certain level, but when it gets down to the nitty gritty, all they care about is the money going into their pockets. And that's the reality of it. It's the reality of us living in a capitalist society where all we do is tell ourselves that we need to work ourselves to death and then have no time to enjoy it, right? So that's the cycle I found myself in. I got really tired of feeling like the bearer of the burdens, feeling like I was a part of something that didn't even matter at the end of the day. Because if all I'm sitting here doing is getting a paycheck, it's kind of just like at what cost? You know, like at the cost of my sanity, at the cost of my sleeping schedule, at the cost of my family time. My old job, I had to, not had to, because nobody put a gun to my head. Now when I put things into perspective. But it's kind of like I said before, when you care about something bigger than yourself, you tend to put yourself out there more. And so I would work every holiday, again, barely any help, by myself, and miss out on family time. And they didn't care. You know why? Because their store was still open, because they were still making money, because someone was still in the department. They don't care. As long as their houses are paid off and they got cars and they got vacations to go on, they could care about if your kids are sick. Like, prime example, why is it that every time you need PTO, it's almost like you're asking them for a limb, you know, like you got a doctor's appointment, you have physical needs to take care of, and it's just like, are you sure you can't do that another day? Do you have to do that this week? We're not allowed to take off this week. Like, things happen. And unfortunately, that's your fault for not making sure that you have the correct amount of staff on hand. I don't know what to tell you. But that's the problem. That's why we have today in our generation, like what I like to call the FDJ generation, the fuck that job generation. Because like, who, in what world, in what right mind do people think this stuff is okay? And I like the collective shift that I'm seeing. And that's why I really want to come out here and just not promote but advocate for finding your peace, finding your happiness. If not, you're gonna get stuck in these cycles. It's funny because one of my old coworkers, he's like, dang, how many jobs have you had in the last like 2-3 years? And it's just like, if you're not happy, why are you there? That's the real question. If the job is stressing you out, burning you out, taking away your time from your life and from your family and from the things that you really need to do in your life, what's the point? Like I said, you're replaceable. There's how many people in this world? 7 billion? Pretty sure they'll find somebody else. And that's something I had to realize. And I think it becomes like a thing of loyalty. We tend to feel like if we leave these companies, especially after a long period of time, that we're disloyal or that we're burning these bridges. But at the end of the day, if they're not doing it for you, why are you doing it for them? You know? The biggest thing for me is passion. And something that I've really had to hone in on this year. It was back in January when I knew that I had to leave my job. It was just like a volcano, kind of like, or not a volcano, boiling water. It was like boiling water, you know, where the bubbles start to rise to the surface. That's kind of what it was like. And I could just feel the fizz starting to come, like chaos breaking out. And it wasn't that like it happened right then and there, but I could just feel the energy shifting. I could just feel that the company I was working with, their intention had changed a long time ago. And with their intentions changing, the employees had to pay that price. We were the ones who had to respond to those requests and fulfill those requests. People in these high jobs, yes, you made your way up to those positions, but it's like, don't forget where you came from. You know, there's so much manual lifting and heavy labor that goes into these jobs and to making sure that your company succeeds, but yet you don't want to show the appreciation, or you don't want to, I don't even know. Like, this shit's upsetting me, honestly, that we live in a world like this. But my biggest thing is after I saw that boil happen within myself, not even in the company, I felt that I was complacent, that I was stuck, that I was unhappy, that I was burnt out, like beyond words. I remember the week I put my 2 weeks notice in. I woke up 2 days in a row crying. Crying not because I was sad, not because I was tired, but because I wasn't able to complete a task that had a deadline because I fell asleep. Can someone tell me what sense that makes? I'll wait. Like, after the second day, I was like, yeah, there's no way I can continue to live my life like this. They don't even see those parts of us. They don't see the breakdowns. They don't see the countless hours that are put in. They don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see any of that. But what they do see is the progress that is made, the team that is being upkept, the job that is being fulfilled. And that's all they care about. They don't care how you do it. But for me, it was more so understanding that because they don't care, I can't allow myself to be at their expense anymore. I could not allow myself to keep waking up feeling like that, to keep putting myself and my needs on the back burner for a job that pays me. Like, literally, it just felt like I was selling my soul to the devil. Like, and that sounds crazy to say out loud, but literally, like, there's no reason why we should be burning ourselves out. My mom alone has worked at a job for over 14 years, I want to say. And in that job, she's had over 7 surgeries. Just off the strength of like pure physical labor being put onto her body, the stress that's put onto your body. It's not healthy and it's not worth it. After leaving my job and coming into my new job, I, within 2 days, was the happiest bee. The happiest bee I could be. Like, the shift of energy, the amount of sleep I got, like, y'all, I didn't even know sleep existed until my new job. I didn't know freedom existed, free time existed. Like, the amount of free time I have on my hands, I don't want to say it's unhealthy, but it's amazing. Like, I get stuff done. The self-care that I get done, the things that I can really focus and put my energy into is amazing. Like, these videos, even, I was not able to do what I needed to do because I was tired, like exhausted. And understanding that passion plays a very big part in it. If you're not happy about what you're doing, it's always going to feel like a job, no matter where you're at. And it's not saying like that you can't get into these filler positions to get to where you want to be. It's just understanding that you don't have to be held there, you know? Like I said in the beginning of this video, a lot of us are stuck in our environments because of what we think they do for us. And what you have to understand is sometimes you got to walk out on faith and know that when you get that pull or that drive to make the change, you got to make it, and that you are guided and protected in your decisions. My 2 weeks notice, I remember putting it in, I think my last day was April 9th, so whatever 2 weeks before that was. I did not have a job at the moment that I put my 2 weeks notice in. What I did though is I got an interview, was it the same week? I think so. So I got an interview the same week of when I put my 2 weeks notice in. But yeah. So I put my 2 weeks notice in on a Friday. I had an interview that previous Wednesday. I got hired Friday afternoon. So Friday morning, I had put my 2 weeks notice in. I had no job lined up. Like, I was walking out on legitimate faith, and I didn't care at that point. I would have been on the street somewhere, honestly. Like, that's how much I just couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't that I didn't want to, I just couldn't do it anymore. If I was going to continue to work at that job, either I was going to lose my mind or I was going to lose my job. Like, there was no other way about going about it. I wasn't going to make it much longer. And that says a lot. And I think a lot of people are in those positions. A lot of people I found are not happy anymore, are ready to go 1 foot out the door, but they're so scared of making that change. And I'm just a living testimony to tell you, walk out on faith. God got you, okay? The universe has your back. You just gotta have faith in them having your back and making sure that your next move is already determined for you. Something that has always been a motto for me for like the last couple years is my first tattoo on my back. It says, if you don't build your own dreams, someone will hire you to help build theirs. I'm gonna let that sink in, and I'm gonna say it again. If you don't build your own dreams, someone will hire you to help build theirs. Okay? That's what we're doing all day, every day that we're at work, is we're building somebody else's dreams. We're filling other people's pockets. And yes, they're keeping us with a roof over our head, but at the end of the day, if it's not making you happy, if that's not something that you see yourself doing in 10, 15, 20 plus years, why are you still there? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Because I'm pretty sure that whatever you truly want to do in your life, you can do it. You are limitless. If you haven't watched my last video, go do that. You're powerful. Just know your worth. Understand that you can do anything you set your mind to, but you gotta believe it in your heart of hearts. And I knew that. Okay, by the end of this year, y'all ain't gonna know PJ. Just know it's a whole new energy, a whole new persona, a whole new vibe. Like, my highest self, that's who I aspire to be. And with that, it's letting go of anything that is no longer serving you any good, anything that is holding you back, anything that is taking away from your good energy. Just know that it's not worth it by any means necessary. There are hundreds of thousands of jobs out there. You can start your own job. I know a few people that are doing it. I'm so proud to see it happening. Just know that life is too short, definitely too short, to be stressed out about somebody's job and a company that doesn't care about you. I hope that this video resonates with someone, and if it does, I hope that you continue the conversation with me in the comments down below. Like, share, put the notifications on so that you don't miss any of my future videos, and add me on my social medias. They'll all be in the description box below. In the meantime, I'll catch y'all on the flip side.